are live. Hello and welcome to Developer Insights. I'm David.
And I'm Justin.
And together we are the leads on game development and design here at Codename.
We also founded Codename, so we've got that going for us too.
Just mute that. We will be your hosts for this episode and for every episode.
Because when we're not here, the show doesn't happen.
It's been true for 47 episodes.
Today is our... You always steal that from me when you say that. Today is our 47th episode.
And unlike last week, we do not have a sponsor for this episode.
Wait, what? Bugs withdrew their sponsorship?
Yes. As it turns out, they felt that we were making them look bad.
Oh, wow. That's embarrassing and, I guess, ironic.
Also, I think we may have made the entire thing up.
I knew something seemed fishy. Anyway, we're here to answer your development and design questions about Idle Champions.
And if you don't ask any questions, however, you may have to suffer through Justin's one-man reenactment of a man suffering from the longest cold of his life.
Actually, you get that regardless of whether or not you ask questions.
Still coughing up a storm, huh?
Yeah, and I've got the major snifflies this week. My mute button is prepped and ready for the stream.
Major snifflies. As always, we pulled some questions from the previous show that we didn't get to, and we will answer some of those while we're waiting for new questions to come in, as well as I have some updates on items we flagged to get looked at by the dev team. So without any further stalling for time, let's get started with those. Okay, so a little bit of a short list here on the fixes side. Looks like it's something that you got to earlier in the week, Justin, and that is there was an issue reported to us about 2 weeks ago now, that the blackout period on the Timegate champions was not working correctly, and we looked into it. We determined this is because that was something that was being set manually, but I know you've gone in and fixed that so that it's now using the event times for champions to figure out what that blackout period should be, and I believe you set it to 3 weeks before an event and 3 weeks after.
Yes, if the event time, roughly, it's not going to be precise, but roughly 3 weeks before and 3 weeks after.
Okay. That's the only item I've got in the fixes list here, but I do have a list of ongoing things that I have updated from a number of the previous shows, so this is more up to date. So we have a request here to have the multi-party window expand to show more parties if the resolution supports it. Looking into the closing game save delay, and open X more to the bounty contracts dialog. So when you open whatever amount you've chosen to open, have it not prompted to open that amount again. We want to change an option on loading save formations so that you can choose to not only just recall missing champions or cancel, but also to skip the missing champions, which will do like a partial load. We want to show the pity timer on the next epic, on the chest on the Timegate screen, as well as similarly on the store screen. I'm still bugging Justin about the missing node on the strong core. We do also want Havalar's imps to automatically spawn, and we are looking into having feats saved along with formations. That is the end of that list.
Great. Let's move into some questions from previous shows, because that sounds like something that we should do. Let's see here. First question from last week is from Possible Cabbage, who asked, "How's the complete rebuild of Offline Progress going? I hope whoever is doing it is having fun and feeling fulfilled."
Well, that's a little cheeky. But
we only allow cheekiness in the answers here, not in the questions.
I feel like we allowed it, though. So I think
we'll make an exception.
Yep.
But only for cabbage-based usernames.
Possibly.
So
the complete rebuild of the offline progress, is going well. Mark is having fun doing it, I'm sure. Actually, we recently did a code review on some of the code that he's been putting into that, and I know he's cleaned the heck out of it. It is a lot easier to read and understand now at this point, and progress is being made towards actually, well, I shouldn't use that word, but towards actually having progress, having the offline progress do progress, which is what it's supposed to be doing. And so I know he's got sort of the base pieces working, and now it's on to integrating all the additional fun bits that have to be calculated along with that, which is all the hero special ability stuff. So my understanding is that's going quite well, but we don't have an ETA on that yet. The ETA will be when it works properly. It's not getting released half-baked.
Great. Next question is from Clarkington, who asked, can we have a menu option to hide damage numbers? I don't like seeing a spam of red numbers over a horde of mobs.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I kind of have half a mind to say, yeah, maybe we could do that. I think the biggest worry on this one was that if someone were to turn that on and then forget and then have like, where's my damage numbers? But as kind of has been pointed out on previous shows, those damage numbers, especially when you've got 100 monsters on the screen, are particularly difficult to read, and they can have some performance impact because setting up all those numbers is actually a little more work than you might guess. So I'll have to think about that one. I think it is possible that we could do something like that, but it probably also sort of my fix for making it so that nobody kind of forgets that the damage numbers are hidden is to display somewhere on screen, or at least have something visible that prompts and says, hey, just so you know, this setting is set. This is why you're not seeing things, because it is one of those things that in our experience in the past, we had options like this. Players will click them and then come back a certain period of time later, forget that they had done that, and then open a ticket about it. So it is something we want to avoid on that front. Anything we can do to avoid additional tickets coming in for Taylor and for Sean. Want to make sure that that's we're not adding to that rather than subtracting from it.
Yep.
Okay, this next question here, also from Possible Cabbage. This question was, when you're using spreadsheets to evaluate new champions, how do you set the baseline you're comparing it to? Are there different metrics for different slots? For example, are slot 6 and slot 11 very competitive?
Yeah, so the baseline that we balance to is basically gold spent to get the champion to that level. We actually don't differentiate based on slot. Perhaps we should in the future, but we don't at the moment differentiate based on slot. We just balance towards basically a curve based on the amount of gold spent on the champion. It's a lot more complex than that, but that's kind of the base thing that we balance towards. Let's see. It's actually the next question, or two questions actually we pulled. These actually came in at roughly the same time during the last show, which makes us think there's some sort of conspiracy to ask this question. But this came in from Kinra VIP and Vega Dark 541. And I'll read Kinra's, I guess. So they say the white formation slot circles are difficult to see in snowy areas. Can you add a ring of black to border them, making them visible on all terrains? Thanks. And Vega basically asked the same thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they just followed off each other, Justin. It's not a conspiracy.
No, it's a conspiracy.
Okay. Well, on that note, I did see that question earlier when we were looking through this for picking up questions for this week. And I looked at that and I thought, I could probably take a quick look at that. And I did. I dropped into the graphic file for the UI that's used for that. And I made a quick update. And I've got it here. And I'm just going to show it on screen and see what people think of it.
Let me get out of the way.
You're going to move out of the way? Okay. So here we go. Here's the image. The one on the left is the previous setup. And the one on the right is actually the darkened version. I think this is what people are talking about. The funny thing was when I went to check the file, it actually appeared that there is a small or a transparent shadow that was always there around the outer edge or inner edge. So I just darkened that up, and if that's what players are looking for, then we'll push that out in the next update. So there it is. If that's not what you were talking about, someone will let us know in the questions after this. Boink.
Whoa. Okay, yeah, a general response in the chat seems to be, looks good.
Great. Wait,
great.
No, just good.
Just good. No, not great. It looks good. One person said it looks perfect. I don't know about that.
Let us move on. This week's questions. First one here is from Garwar. And it's going to you, despite your attempts to...
Okay, I tried.
This question is... we're getting messages. This question is, we currently have no way of knowing where things like champion skins and familiars come from. For example, giveaways, purchases, etc. When people ask, is there a way to add that information to their descriptions, or maybe an on-hover tooltip when looking at them?
Yeah, I mean, this is a good question. I thought that we had done something like that for champion skins. I don't know if you can correct me there, Dave, but I thought when you bring up the skin swap thing, that it does say where the item comes from if you don't own it. Maybe it doesn't say that if you do own it. Maybe it only has
Not
something there if you don't
entirely
own it.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. That's what Garwar is saying in chat. So it does say it if you do not own it, but it doesn't if you do. I think that is probably useful information to have on both champion skins and familiars. I'm trying to think. I think we must have that for skins since we display it. I don't know that we like specifically track that data in an easy way for familiars. So we probably have to manually go in and put that data in, or however it's done for skins. But yeah, I think that's a really good idea. Just so you can look at them and kind of see where they come from.
Sounds good to me.
Cool.
Okay. Now I gotta mute that one moment.
I didn't hear anything, but
oh yeah, I
may not be coming through here.
Pinged in the company chat. All right, nice and muted now. No more of that. Next question here is from Africroll, or Alphacroll. That's better. And the question is, any update on the increased rewards or other quality of life for old champs in time gates? Getting full epics for new players for old champs will take a long time.
Yeah, I was actually looking at the time gate handler code earlier this week, I think, for some reason. I can't remember exactly why, but I was looking at it. Oh yeah, because of that thing that I fixed earlier this week. So I was looking at that, and there is some code in there that looked like it was kind of half done to potentially reduce the time gate cost of certain champions. So I mean, that's certainly something to think about, maybe finishing up and polishing up, and maybe making year 1 and 2 champions take 3 time gate pieces instead of 6. But there'd be a couple of other sort of caveats that we'd have to look at before we could fully implement something like that. Like we'd have to probably adjust the UI and the thing in the dialogue. Or we could maybe approach that in a different way. But yeah, I mean, I think that we've talked about this before, about how, yeah, we want to do something for year 1 and 2 champions, so that they get you can gear them up a little bit quicker, since you can't do it through the events when the events swing around. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that we'll have to keep on considering the best way to do that.
Okay. Next question here is from Rough Rider 91. Can there be some normalization regarding Briv skipped areas counting? For example, Nahara versus Freely versus patron chores.
Yeah, this is a good question, and I think the answer to this question is we didn't really know which way we wanted to go on this, but I think with Nahara we kind of made the decision to make sure that Nahara gets the stacks. Albeit there's a bug where they get 1 less stack than they ought to. That we I think is the next question actually. But yeah, I think what we want to do kind of moving forward is go back as much as possible and sort of normalize that, so all champions just kind of get the stuff from those skipped areas, and just kind of normalize it in that direction. So at some point we will get to that. A little bit of a lower priority since kind of it's a little bit more work.
Okay. Next question is, as you say, related to this, which was from Meki Marasu. Oh, I'm just butchering these. Hey, Justin and David, is there any update on the Briv skip and Nahara stacks miscalculation?
The update being, we are aware of the bug. I don't know that it's been assigned to a developer yet because I don't sit in on the bug meetings. But yes, it is something that we are aware of players reporting.
Yeah, I don't think that's been assigned yet. I was speaking with Peter earlier, kind of tracking on the items for the dev stream issues list, and everyone is currently assigned on something else, probably until mid next week. So
yes, the dev team is quite busy these days trying to get stuff done for the fall.
yeah, looking at those, I was thinking some of them I may just tackle myself because of how busy everyone is. So
That's fair enough.
okay,
Next question here. You get questions too. It's not just Justin insights. So this question is from Fog Piscalo 2. I should have given this one to you so that you could have pronounced that one. But they ask, when will Modron automation reach release state? Of course, they're referring to the fact that when you first click to use Modron or the multi-party, I guess the multi-party dialog, it pops up a big beta disclaimer.
You know, that is a great question. And we've had this discussion internally a few times over the last year.
We sure have.
Certainly the biggest thing that gives us pause on taking it out of removing the beta warning from it is that the Modron automation relies fairly heavily on the offline progress, and with the offline progress issues not addressed yet, we were just playing it safe on that beta tag there. So our intention will be once the offline progress is working, I think the one that's being redone right now is in place and it's up to snuff. We'll be evaluating how that's integrated into the Modron automation, and likely at that point be pulling off that beta warning tag. So at that point, which we get to there.
Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Next question here from Bill Slowski, 002. Has Justin fixed the node on the Modron core yet?
No, you know what? I was looking at the layout, and I need to sort of figure out how best to do that. So the option that was kind of suggested in chat last time was to just put the node somewhere where there isn't something currently, because where it was supposed to go in the design, there is just an open space, like where you can put pipe down, which actually means when you get to level 15 in the strong core, you actually unlock 11 areas to put stuff, whereas normally you'd unlock 10 areas in most cores. So I just have to decide whether or not I want to do something tricky and try and put it where it's supposed to be and basically take that slot away, or just put it outside of the existing sort of core areas. And just for reference, it is a gold increase node, so you're not missing out on any DPS unless you're using Rust. But that is a node I would like to get in there eventually. And now I will stop looking at that and try and get back to my streaming windows.
All right. Here's another question. This question from Vovcast is, can you keep the text of the question you are answering somewhere on the screen? Some answers are so long that you can forget the question. You can ask Garwar how.
Yeah, this is an interesting question. I was thinking about where we would put it on the screen. Certainly we have a lot of space sort of down over there, sort of in the middle, where we could just put, the question that we are currently answering. But there's also some administrative stuff to put that there, and poor Dave would have to put it there over and over again.
Yeah, or some other
unless
automated
there's some
thing.
Other way that we could do that.
Because I could do something like this.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well that's quite large.
It's larger than I thought. Here's the, let's go with
where's the font size?
Size 14.
Now we're gonna watch Dave edit.
Yep. No, that's too small. Let's go 22.
We're gonna watch Dave edit the stream layout live on stream.
We'll just do that.
How is this not exciting?
It's more fun than just the wow.
No.
Yeah.
No, what is that? A question for ants? Oh my gosh.
I think that'll work, right? Something right about there.
Oh dear.
Let's see, how does that look on the layout?
It does not look great.
No, that's not working. Anyway, I think in theory...
I think we could do that. I don't know that it's the best idea to try and do that live on stream, but I think on theory we could certainly try and do something like that for the next episode, if that would be something that would be helpful for people.
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly ask Garwar what he does for that. It seems like I could probably put a text field there, and I could paste it from the question doc into a text document. But it's an idea. The only
Just
caveat.
prepare you. Yeah.
The caveat on that one is a lot of these questions sometimes need editing. So,
Yes, we
yeah.
do some editing of questions.
Yep.
But yes, let's see. Let's go on to the next question, which we're not going to paste on screen and stretch awkwardly around, from Possible Cabbage.
Possible Cabbage is getting their
a lot
questions
of
in.
questions
Yeah.
in. And they ask, would it be possible to add an option to Modron automation to reset on a party wipe? This would save lost progress when a mistake is made and would seem obvious to less experienced players.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, so from a first section of would it be possible? It would be possible. I guess the question is, would it make sense?
I could see a use case for it if you literally just want to kind of run up to your wall and just have Modron automation just run to your wall and sort of it'd be probably most effective at farming favor.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think we'd probably also want to have something that had a retry, like you could get bounced back, but what you really want to do is get bounced back, have it idle there for a short period of time and then try again, and do that a couple of times until you really get stuck and then be like, all right, I've failed a number of times now, please reset me, because I think you could lose out
like
on
a number of failures thing where
I think that would be more optimal, but
we have to add in a familiar that can go on to the auto progress, so it would re-auto progress when you get bumped back.
Yeah. Oh, it's an interesting idea. It's probably not something we can prioritize right now, but it is something that that would make the Modrons a little more effective for that.
Yeah, I certainly don't mind the idea.
3 strikes and you reset. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question here is from iCrunkeye. Will there always be... What?
There's no R there. It's not crunk.
Oh, kunk. Well, anyway. It's a reading comprehension challenge. Will there always be a new champion released in each event? With all the new champions being added, it makes me feel that if I take a break from the game, I'm going to fall behind.
Yeah, so this is a good question, Kunk, for new players, I guess, to the game and to our games. But yes, there are new champions released in every event. That means we do 17 events a year generally, so that means about 17 new champions a year from events, as well as one or two evergreen champions per year. So yeah, there are a lot of new champions being added to the game. It's certainly something that we are aware of that can make the game feel very daunting to come back to if you've missed a bit of time. There are definitely ways to get some of those those champions that you've missed. You can catch up through time gates by getting time gate pieces and opening time gates for champions you've missed, and then as well sort of the next year that an event comes around, you can grab the previous 2 event champions from that event, and so there's lots of ways to kind of catch up. And I would also say that, as much as we would like every single champion to be like the most amazing brand new meta champion that every single person uses, not every champion does live up to those standards. And so, if you miss 1 or 2, it might not necessarily be the end of the world. I think that, pretty much with any 10 champions, you can probably make a formation that does fairly well. If you're interested in kind of watching some of that stuff, I would watch some of Mars Guiding Hand stream. I know they love to play around with different formations and see how far they can get. So I think that's a fun way to play the game. And so definitely don't feel like if you've missed a champion or 2 that you're out of the running to get to level 1,000 or area 1,000 rather, or be able to crush the new variants. Let's see, next question here. HIMYM fans asking
How I Met Your
because
Mother.
of the I know. How I Met Your Mother fans, yes, asking because of the salute. Yes, we are general How I Met Your Mother fans.
I mean, that was a reach, Justin, but sure.
Well, we're not major How I Met Your Mother fans. I mean, I didn't like how it ended, but that's just me. Actually, that's just me and pretty much everyone who watched the show. But, you know, anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's do questions about our game.
Cool.
This next question here, which I'm still not sure what it's about, but I'll ask it. From Deadman43212. Deadman43212 asks, do you have an idea of how long it will be so that we are able cash in the silver chests? The CNE client still has this issue. I am not sure what they are asking, but you have highlighted this.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you knew what it was about, which is why
I don't know what this is about.
And we got
I don't know what
there.
This question is about. Deadman43212, if you are still in chat, can you clarify what you're asking?
Yeah.
Somebody here is saying
that silver chests are not opening.
Sometimes you try to open silver chest and it doesn't open. That seems unusual. I am not aware of that issue.
Yeah, I saw a few mentions of it when we started the show, and I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean specifically in the chat. We'll have to follow up with.
To open. I mean that sounds like. Yeah, I think if you go to open chests, and the chest icon kind of goes down and then sort of opens and nothing happens, then I mean that is one of two things. One is the server just didn't respond with data or valid data, and so the client is like waiting for that data to come in, or it's something where the client has received data but then there's some sort of exception while it's processing that data. And unfortunately, I don't know there's an easy way to tell which, but yeah, if you guys are having that issue, that seems like something we should take a look at.
100%. Someone's saying it's only the CNE client. Can anyone confirm? If you can confirm in the chat if it is happening in other clients as well, that'd be helpful.
Garwar says it happens on Steam as well. Okay.
All right. Well, we'll check in with Taylor and Sean and see what the tickets are saying.
Yeah. That sounds like something. If it's happening that frequently, it sounds like something we should be able to, hopefully, knock on wood, reproduce and fix.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see. Next question is from Vin Mist. I wonder if that's a Mistborn reference. Who says, "Is there an option I have missed to always show all 12 bench slots without needing the coin to unlock them?"
Yeah, so this feels like a question we've received a few times in the past, and this is just that there's no option currently to show them all without having the needed coin. Typically, if you are far enough along on a campaign, you got enough favor that the first couple of coins that you get sort of unlocks and shows the vast majority. But when you start a new event or a new campaign, that they're not there until you've actually picked up enough to have enough coin to unlock them. So I know this was sort of a holdover, as we've discussed before, from kind of just the tutorialing of the game. So when you first start, it's kind of to avoid the characters being overwhelming, we show just the next one that's available. But we haven't at this point added any option to have them all just appear. It is one of those things that feels to me like, after the first adventure, the first tutorial bit, we could just have them appear. But I don't know what your thoughts are on that one, Justin.
Yeah, I mean, I've been hesitant to do this for a while, but this is one of those things where I think if people keep asking for it, we should probably just give it to them.
Okay. All right. Well, people will bear that one in mind. Next question here is from Canelian. Right now, with the way the cost for forging legendaries increases, there's basically a cap of 1 new legendary per week. With a new champion equipped with 6 new items releasing every 3 weeks, the number gap between legendary and regular items keeps increasing. Is there any plan to address this?
Yes, there is a plan to address this. We are working through a bunch of trials fixes, as much as Wilson is able to do before he gets pulled off to do other things that are higher priority, like important bug fixes and whatnot. But we do have plans to change sort of how the legendary forging costs work, to have more focus on more of the cost in the upgrading and less of the cost in the forging, so that you'll be able to get, be able to keep up more easily with the number of champions that are coming out, and basically it would be possible to get every champion to legendary after a certain amount of time, whereas opposed to right now, if you got every champion, you'd just never ever be able to get them all to legendary. So we do have plans to change the balancing on that. It's part of sort of the larger trials updates that we have been talking about for many months. But it is still in the plans, and hopefully at some point soon we will get that done. Let me see here. Where are we at? Yeah, there we are. Here's a question from Max Louise 01, who asks, have you guys ever thought of implementing a save power mode? Like the game is still open, or is open, still running, but not consuming as much CPU/GPU power.
Yeah, so the game does have a mode that's like that, and that is the reduce frame rate while in background mode. And so there actually is a menu option in the settings, and when selected, I can't remember exactly the wording on the option. It is something like reduce frame rate while in background, or while minimized, or not in focus, something to that effect. And when that option is selected, when the game is not in focus or is minimized, the game runs at about 3 frames per second, which has a vastly reduces the amount of CPU and GPU power being consumed by the game. Beyond reducing the frame rate like that, there isn't anything immediate that we could do that would allow the game to run in a low power mode without being inaccurate in the way that it's continuing to progress. So beyond that, you're just relying on closing the game and then the offline progress. But if you want to leave it open, the low reduced frame rate in background mode is the way to do it.
Next question from Swamprob, who says, any idea when we might see a colorblind friendly version? I struggle to tell the blues and purples apart.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that's been asked on a fairly consistent basis. Getting something on those cards so that they've got a more of a visual indicator, I think is a great idea. I know it's just something we haven't tagged as a priority to get done, which I think we probably should. It's kind of more of an art side thing than a development side thing, but I think getting something on those cards so they have a visual difference is a great idea. So I think we should just ping that one and then pass it on to Alexis or someone who can add a graphic.
Yeah?
Yeah, wrong color.
That's not the yellow we use.
It's ironic. Okay, next question. This one is from Foolish Genius 89. Would it make sense for Desmond Lament, the loss effect, to count undead champs like Nahara and a few other unreleased BDS members? Oh, and Whittle.
Specifically to like undead champions like Nahara and a couple of other ones that are coming up that may or may not have gotten leaked, we kind of do it on a case-by-case basis. I know there was some discussion recently about Nahara because they're undead. The thing is, we don't necessarily want to overload the game with undead or dead champions, because Desmond's Lament the Lost is kind of balanced around not having a formation full of dead champions. So we don't necessarily want to flood the game with them. With that said, I think we were talking about maybe adding Nahara, but I don't know which direction we're going to come down on that. There are a couple of other champions coming up in the future, at least one other champion coming up in the future that I know is flagged as dead. So there will be some more stuff for some more champions for Desmond to lament. But I don't know that Nahara will get into that grouping, and Whittle will not. Let's move on to the next question. From Maniac Clown. They say, has anyone ever reported this game, they're on Epic, interfering with the ability for Windows to register key presses? Much of the time when I have the game running, it interferes with typing, including just holding down F to place or remove a familiar. It never happens when the game's not running.
Yeah, that's a new one.
Weird.
I have never seen that, nor seen it reported beyond this report we're seeing right now. Yeah, I don't... Is that even something beyond the game being in focus could do? I don't think so, but yeah, this is the first report I've seen of this.
Yeah.
And I like, just off the top of my head, I can't think of how it would be doing that.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never seen that or heard that.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone else is having a similar issue, maybe report that as well, and we can see if there's anything similar between the setups. But and then, yeah, I guess another question would be, Maniac Clown, if you have another system you can try it on and see if it happens there too, and maybe see if there's something different between those two systems that's having it occur on one and not the other. And if it's occurring on both, then the question becomes, is there some sort of specific software stack that you've got set up there that I'm just saying another comment pasted in. It's not a matter of focus; it's a matter of it's open. Yeah, definitely. I definitely see if it's system specific. If you got another one, you can try.
Yeah.
Okay. Next.
Yeah. Next question is from Guru G. Another reason not to put the questions on the screen is then people wouldn't know quite how much we're butchering these names.
Well, they see them in the chat, so
maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, this question is from that person, and they're asking, could we have a setting that hides the damage under the champs on the screen, please?
Yeah, this sounds an awful lot like sort of the question we were talking about earlier, having an option to not show the damage numbers unless I'm sort of misinterpreting this.
That's my interpretation as well.
Yeah, so definitely something that I'm considering as a, but something that again would need to be carefully flagged that it is enabled, so that nobody gets confused after turning it on and coming back after a short break and being like, "Hey, I'm not seeing any damage numbers. What the heck?" Yeah. And actually, just comment here, I saw in the chat someone commenting that they'd reduced the frame rate after I mentioned that, and it says it greatly reduces the CPU usage. Amazing. So,
yay!
Yeah.
Okay, next question is from OG17, who asks, what does NERDS stand for? And why is NERDS the only tank without the health share ability needed to work in AoE attack areas?
See, this feels more like a question for you, Justin, especially the
I don't know what NERDS
question.
Stands for.
Now, does NERDS stand for something like the actual candy?
I don't know. I mean, let me Google that for you.
Because, like, I know when we were kids, we claimed that it stood for never-ending radical dudes. That's what we thought it stood for, as a 6-year-old. But
the non-erosive reflux disease.
No, I think that's not the right.
National Establishment for Real Dorks.
Nope.
No, these are just yeah. I don't know if it stands for something. You'll have to reach out to the candy makers. As for why it's the only tank without the health share ability, it's because it's only kind of a quasi tank. I think when we were designing NERDS, like, they've got pretty much every role in the world, and so we didn't want to pile on too many abilities. I think they've already got 7 or 8 abilities, so we did not do some of the tanking abilities for them. They're a faux tank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question here is from Vin Mist. The question is, the current glitch where Nahara gets stuck in her ultimate flying animation. Can you leave it not fixed and make it a feature? Because honestly, it's really cool.
Yeah, I saw this question. Certainly when we have sort of glitches like this, they are glitches. There's some sort of thing with the animation controller that's just not functioning correctly.
Scripted.
And well, it's true. I don't know the specifics of it because it's different for every sort of case, but yeah, unfortunately, this is something like if we do go and fix it, then we would want to fix it so it functions as intended. With that said, I won't mention it to the development team if you don't. Just cross this one off and not highlight it.
Okay.
Next,
we'll just move on from that.
Yeah, let's just move on. I didn't see anything.
No.
Just don't tell the police.
The bug police?
Bitches get their bugs fixed.
All right. Next question. This one is from Honda Hero 21. I want to use a save formation, but some champions are busy doing something else. So I want most of that formation. Can I get help? Like at least to put the move your cursors.
Sorry,
I can't read when the thing's in front of it. Put the rest of the formation showing in the slots and not making me hunt for them. Thanks.
Yeah, this is a question that we get pretty regularly, which is why we are now going to highlight it in yellow. But basically, I think what you're asking here is sort of when you go to load a formation, if some of those champions are in other formations, you'll get a pop-up that says, hey, the champions are in other formations. You can either pull them from those formations, or you can not load this formation. And a lot of players are looking for a third option that says, just pull in the champions who aren't in other formations. And I agree. I think that would be super useful. And I have now highlighted, well, Dave actually highlighted and made it yellow.
Someone else did, but Justin, if you were with us 40 minutes ago, you remember this is in the list. It was one of the items I mentioned at the top of the hour.
I wasn't paying attention during that because I was, oh yes, look at that there. I was looking for questions to highlight. So yes, that is in the list. It's in the list to do. It's going to be awesome when it's done. I'm really looking forward to it.
It's been highlighted again, so now it's in the list twice.
It's going to be in the list twice. We're going to do it, and then we'll get to the second version of it and be like, wait, I thought we already did this. We'll start doubting ourselves, and then, yeah, it'll be a good time. It'll be great for our mental health.
It's a downward spiral. Okay.
Have we done? I'm just wondering for the mods. Have we done our giveaway yet today? Because we're getting towards the end of the day, or the end of the stream, and here we go. Yes, there is going to be a giveaway. People who have been in chat or have been in our stream for a while will know that every time we do a stream, we do a giveaway where you can earn 42 chests of your choice. They can be any chests in the game except for Gloria Bahamut chests. So you could potentially, if you really liked Spurt, you could get gold Spurt chests. If you really didn't like to get very much loot at all, you could get silver chests. If you like doing Modron pipe stuff, you can get Modron component chests. That's the type I would get. Silver rosy chests, those are good. Really any sort of silver chests. Yeah, I think you can get patron chests. I think you could get some Strahd chests if you really wanted none of your good champions to get any gear. But yes, the keyword, it will start very soon. All you have to do is type the keyword into chat once it starts. So keep an eye out in chat for that start. I think the keyword is bug ads. It's right there in chat. You can see it. Just type that in, and then we'll pick a winner in a couple of minutes.
Some of the players want Delina chests.
There are not currently Delina chests, but maybe someday. Yeah, let's move on to the next question.
Sure. Next question here from Vladimir Knight Road. Is there a pity timer on feats? They're around 182 now, and even if it was every 40 or 50 chests, it would still take time.
Yeah, that's a good point. There is no, oh dear, I'm going to start coughing. There is no pity timer on feats right now. I'm not 100% sure what the percentage is to get them. I don't think it's too low, but certainly I think once players sort of get into end game, and you're farming a whole bunch of gems from motor automation, you can certainly get quite a few gold chests. And so I think in general, they do start to come quite quickly. Certainly the rate at which you can get them is going to be faster than they're being added into the game, because generally a new champion will maybe add 2 or maybe 3, depending on how many they have. Sometimes only 1 if they end up having like 3 rare feats and 2 of them go to gems and 1 of them goes to gold chests. So I don't know that we're going to look at taking action on this quite yet. But it's certainly something to be aware of, that we will try to be aware of, because it could be something that kind of just becomes quite insurmountable for brand new players. So yeah, I appreciate that feedback, and we'll take a look at that. Or we'll keep an eye on that, I should say.
Thoughts on the next question here, Justin? I see we're not anything further selected.
Yes, I have not selected any more questions because I was looking at other stuff. Let me just read that question.
Read it silently to himself and decide if
I'm
it's
reading it
worthy of
silently to
being
myself.
answered.
So this is a question from, I can answer it. This is a question from Connellan, who's asking, have you given any further thought to the chest pack shinies awarding potions of polish on duplicate instead of 125 eye levels? And the short answer to that is no, I have not given any further thought to that since the last episode when we were talking about that, because I've been working on a lot of other stuff. So currently there are no plans to change how that functions. That was just kind of my bad for forgetting how that functions. Maybe in the future, but it's certainly not something we're thinking about changing right now. We just kind of answered that question. The next question is from Brent Copeland, who says, I just put 10 champs into a 9 champ formation on the Mad Wizard. Is that a known bug, or should I report it? Where did you put the 10th champion?
That is a really good question.
There's only 9 slots.
I mean, Pigeonhole Principle says he put 2 in 1 slot.
2 into 1 slot, that would be the simplest.
I don't know how. I mean, further information required.
Bugs Discord. I have to go into the Bugs Discord?
All right. Do you have the Discord open?
I do have the Discord open.
Someone is saying pictures, please. Oh.
Which one did you put it in? Here we go. There's 10 champs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are certainly 10 with green. Which one's not in the formation? Where's Nayeli?
All right, I'm sure this is fascinating for everybody.
This is yeah. I don't actually see Nayeli in this formation.
So maybe they're not in the formation, they're just tagged as active on the bar.
Somehow tagged as in the formation. That's weird. Yeah, I've not seen that glitch before. They certainly don't seem like they're there, but you say they're counting for the patron. I mean, certainly the game thinks they're in the formation. But yeah, they're definitely not. That's a weird glitch. I'm not sure how that would happen.
So the answer is definitely a bug. It's not known, or wasn't. I hadn't seen that before, neither did Justin. Definitely should report it, and we'll keep an eye out for seeing that again, and see if we can repeat that. And if we can repeat it, we can track down what's going on with that.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, the next question is from Cirrus Black, who asks, could we get the potions automation section of Modron automation to be a queue rather than one per type? I have over 1,000 15-minute pots, and it would be nice to trigger multiple uses per run automatically, i.e. trigger them at level 1, then at level 150, etc.
Yeah, this is a question that, again, this is one that has been asked on a regular, and it is something that we'd really like to get in at some point. In the initial implementation of the Modron automation system, it was this adding the queue kind of setup for this was going to be significantly more complicated than just selecting the single potions per type. And so at the time we opted we would do that and then get this multiple selection in after, which is something that, as you know, at this point we didn't get to. So yeah, definitely something we'd like to see in there. It is one of those things that's sort of a lower priority item because of sort of a lower impact. But I'm going to tag it so that we're reminded to put further thought on that. Because yeah, it's definitely something I'd love to see in there, and it was something that was supposed to be in the initial design, but it did get sort of pared back a little bit, just in the interest of getting that system out. So
yeah. Next question is from Valdemar Night Road, who asks, when creating a ticket, is it better on your side if we leave the instance running or just quit and carry on?
So most of the time, it's not a big deal either way. When you open a ticket, we do take a snapshot of your account, and sort of we save all the items that you have, what adventures you're on, where your heroes are placed, and then we can take that and load it up dev side and get a good picture of what was happening at the time. The thing that does become kind of tricky, and it's one of those things where most of the time, unless there's something very key that's happening that we'd be able to rapidly communicate with you and figure out what was happening, which is usually not the case. Usually if a ticket comes in, it takes a little bit of time before that gets from Sean or from Taylor to a dev who can then look into it. Most of the time, whatever was running there isn't something that we could gather or glean data from. And usually it's because if we were going to be able to do that, we'd have to have it loaded up and connected to a debugger, which unfortunately we can't do we can't do that remotely. We have to actually hope that the state that your account was saved in is enough that we can pull it up in our debugger and get it back to that state, which often is the case, but sometimes it can be a bit tricky. So when you open a ticket, you can feel free to carry on with whatever you were working on or whatever you were playing, if for some case it's a rare case that we actually need to have more information on that, we'll follow up and ask for it.
Cool.
All right, this one's for you, Justin.
Oh boy.
This is a question from We Nemesis 666. Would there be anything in the future for co-op mode with its own campaign, or with the current campaign like Patrons, with a team of 4 to 6 that you and your friends and community could play together?
Yeah, I mean, I think the closest thing to this would be the existing feature of the Trials of Mount Tiamat, which is a co-op mode with its own campaign that you can play with up to 4 other players to try and defeat Tiamat each week to earn Tiamat scales, which you can use to transform your epic items into legendary. At this time, we're not planning anything beyond trials. We've got a bunch of fixes that I mentioned earlier in the show that we want to do to trials before we kind of expand that system. So that's kind of what's there right now. And we're not planning any other sort of features for co-op beyond that at this time.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. This one is from Wilhelm Scream. When can we expect further character changes and balance adjustments?
Good question. So one thing we did just do kind of with Nahara was we made some very quick character changes and balance adjustments to them right after they were released, which I think is something we would like to continue to do as much as we are able for brand new champions. But in terms of older champion changes, we do have some coming down the pipe that will hopefully come out sometime in September, I believe, where we are looking at a group of champions and making some adjustments to them all as one. To try and give them create a new meta and breathe a bunch of life into those those older champions. So there are some coming down the pipe hopefully in the next couple of months.
Okay, and I just had a thought sort of in regards to the previous question around trials. For new players who haven't unlocked that yet, can you sort of tell them sort of how they would get to that, or where they find it, and what kind of requirements are for?
Sure,
place for
yeah,
that.
that's a great point. So the Trials of Mount Tiamat is a feature that unlocks fairly far into the game. In order to unlock the Trials of Mount Tiamat feature, you must complete the final adventure of the Descent into Avernus campaign, which is the fourth campaign. So I think you have to do 30 or 40 adventures just to unlock that campaign, and then you have to do all the adventures in that campaign. And then once you've completed that final adventure, the Trials of Mount Tiamat and the Legendary system will both unlock up on if you're in the normal UI up in the top left corner. If you're on the gamepad console UI, I think it appears in the bottom bar.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll do one more question. 2 more questions.
Sure. Looks like we got time for at least one more. I'm going to send this one to you. So, the Lurking Writer asks, could you put the full names of champions with similar names in their character sheets? For example, Brig to be Brig Hellclaw and Briv Steelmarrow. Not just the character bios that most people don't look at more than once, please.
Yeah, I think this is a good idea. I'm actually surprised that we don't do that as sort of the main name in the character sheet. I guess I've got the game right here. I can just pull it up and see. Yeah, no, I guess we just do it there. Because we do have that name. That's interesting that we don't do that, because we do specify that name separately. And I'm surprised that we don't.
You know, we have recently updated that character sheet to have more space along the top section because we widened everything up. So I think it is possible that initially we kept it the first name just from a space standpoint. Whereas at this point we do have we widened that all up. So
yeah, it certainly seems like something we can do. Give it a try, see what happens.
Okay. And it's probably the last question that we've got time for today. This one here is from Quint Squad. On patron challenges, can we get the hero slot added to the challenge? For example, a complete 250 areas with Evelyn in brackets 6 or Rosie in brackets 10 in free plays.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We should do that. I know we've started to do that more in some of the front-facing kind of marketing stuff. Like when we do giveaways, we'll sort of say, "Hey, this is where this is where these champions are that we just gave you." So yeah, I think that's something that we could totally do in patron challenges, and I will highlight that, and hopefully someone will do that.
All right. Well, it looks like we are all out of time.
Cool. Okay, so if we didn't get to your question this week, don't worry. You'll have another opportunity. We'll be live again at this same time next week. I'm pretty sure we will, at least. Yeah. Before we sign off, though, we'd like to thank our tireless mods. This week it was Mars and Martin again. They're the guys who copy your questions into our questions doc and generally make things awesome. So thanks, guys.
And of course, thanks to all of you for hanging out, watching the stream, asking such great questions, and enjoying the game. Because without you, no one here would get to do what we do.
We'd have to do something else, I guess.
Fair enough. All right, that's it. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Bye. That took a while to click the button.
I really need it on this screen, so I don't look away when I go to click it.
End with joke.